Hey guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel here. So here is, as promised on our other platforms, here is our full recap of the LaCrosse event. We're driving down the road now, heading back. We're in Iowa about now. What time we got here? So it's 5 in the morning. We've been on the road for a couple hours now. And we're heading back to get ready to, number one, see our family. We miss them dearly, but we'll get a chance to see them for a couple days, and we're back on the road to Swanson Lake, Nebraska. We're heading up there. Should be an awesome event there with the Colorado Kayak Bassmasters. But the deal we're gathered here for is a recap of our LaCrosse, Wisconsin. We're going to get into some details about what our game plan was going in, what we saw in practice, what happened during the tournament here. I'll try to get you as much information as we can here that's pertinent on some of the cool happenings that took place. Before we go any further, though, none of this is possible without our fantastic sponsors and partners, and just all out, just phenomenal gear. I gotta tell you, I every time I go out and I get posed with certain challenges, I am so very thankful to be using the gear that I'm using and having the equipment that we have, because man, it sure does make life easier and take care of us when things get thrown at us. You know, as far as our strategic partners go out there, of course, the Romans Warrior Foundation, Brian Romans and his entire organization, you know, having us be a part of them, joining up with them and being part of the family is a tremendous honor, and it makes it possible and gives us a lot of good motivation when we're out here to stay after this, to try to fight to get, you know, into a better position to be able to provide better services down the long haul. Vicious Fishing, the fishing line that we trust in throughout. They're a phenomenal supporter of ours. Helps make the Roman Warrior stuff come all together with the Field Ops Johnstown Shields. They have donated so much equipment to these warriors and to the kayaks themselves to help us get these things on the water, doing what we're doing, which that's awesome. And then, of course, a lot of the other gear that we use, NACO Tungsten, Tackle HD. They're not a partner of ours specifically, but we have a connection with them through the NPAA, which NPAA, big shout out to the National Professional Anglers Association. Without their connections and their continued support, we wouldn't have a sport. We wouldn't have, you know, what we're having. So we're very thankful for them and all the hard work they do and the efforts they take to help keep us goofballs out there that are trying to make a living doing this, to help keep us educated and on the right path. And one of the strategic partners we had together, 13 Fishing. I gotta tell you, man, this is my first year of fishing with 13 fishing rods. I don't have enough time on the reels yet to give you an honest opinion on the reels, but I will tell you this. The Omen line of rods might be hands down my new favorite fishing rod that I've ever had a chance to use. I use these for some moving baits such as chatter baits, swim jigs, spinner baits, crank baits. Now, I do have a series of better, more specific deep cranking rods, but this is what I was using for that area there. I've got a couple of Muse series as well that I was testing out, and I gotta tell you, hands down, I mean, new faves when it comes to topwater. This thing is I've got two versions of the Muse, but the one I'm using for topwater is a 7'6" medium heavy with a regular, or known as a moderate fast tip. So it's got a little bit of parabolic bend to it, and I gotta tell you, dude, I was horsing some fish out of the cabbage this last weekend here with these rods, and when that medium heavy blank hooks up there, throwing some 60-pound braid on it, Vicious line, it was phenomenal. What a hands down deal. So huge shout out 13 Fishing. Like I said, we'll give you a more honest review coming towards the fall time here once our season's concluded. Where, I mean, and hands down, without all-terrain tackle, that's one of my favorite search baits. I use a swim jig, and then I vary up the trailer to help me gather information when I'm out in these areas. And when I discover something, I can switch over to something a little more specific for it. But a swim jig is one of my most favorite baits for covering water and just trying to get some information from a given area. I can pitch it like a jig. I can swim it through with moving baits, so I can kind of get an idea. I can drag it across the bottom if I want. I can skim it right across the top with a good reel. You name it, man. It'll give you all kinds of feedback on what's going on out there. And the all-terrain tackle, in my opinion, makes one of the best swim jig heads on the planet. So we rely on that. And then, of course, with the elements, man, this whole season I've been relying on my Blackfish gear. From my rain suit to my sun gear. Blackfish has a line and a budget item that fits just about any and everybody out there. The thing I love about Blackfish, it's specifically designed equipment with a performance, a mentality in mind with it. So it's when it's sun gear, whether it's angler or guide series, it's designed for that purpose, to keep you cool and keep the sun off of you, to keep you from getting all cooked up out there. When it's rain gear, it's meant to keep you dry, and that's exactly what it does. So we've been relying on that stuff a ton. And then, of course, man, where would we be without our vessels? So hats off to New Canoe and the Unlimited. What a beast of a rig. Between their awesome service and sales department and Rocky Mountain Fishing Kayaks out of Denver, Colorado. Check them out, Rocky Mountain Fishing Kayaks. They're the local dealer for us here in Denver. Between those two guys, they have allowed me to get rigged out and be in a position to be able to compete. And dude, I gotta tell you, Mississippi River wake is no joke. And when those barges get going upstream, man, it can throw out some serious wake out there. And I was a little bit worried about crossing that river channel, a few times. But dude, I gotta tell you, the Unlimited is just a machine. Handles business out there, dude. And even for a bigger guy like me, it allows me to fish comfortably out of that thing. Working with that EPS power system, it's a 24-volt transom mount, 60-pound thrust from Newport vessel, the NK180, I believe. And bro, I'm telling you, we logged on day 2 of the tourney. We logged some miles on this thing. I mean, we put down a solid 12 to 15 miles on the river, and that amped outdoors lithium battery just kept tugging. But it's the efficiency of that Newport, and of course the quality of the amped outdoors lithium battery. Those things together, this is where I say I feel so blessed to have the fantastic companies that I work with, and that's why I have no problem suggesting them to you. Number one, they're priced appropriately. This isn't crazy price stuff. This is stuff that you can get a hold of that is top quality that we rely on. When we're out here on the road daily, I mean, I can't afford breakdowns. We get a breakdown, it's a lot more than just dang it. There's a lot of commitments we have to this, and we trust in them. That's why we think you can too. Check them out. Amped Outdoors, New Canoe, Rocky Mountain Fishing Kayaks, all these guys, all the companies that have been talking about here. We believe in them. They have solid customer support, good pricing, amazing products. I'm not saying there isn't also other great stuff out there, but these are just the ones that we rely on, and it's why I have, excuse me, no problem putting my name behind them, because it's what we use. And like I said, I think you will not be disappointed. So enough of all that. We paid the bills there. Let's get into the recap. LaCrosse, Wisconsin, one of the few tournaments this entire season that I have an opportunity to go fish a body of water that I know. I've been there before. Been there a lot in a bass boat, and was very anxious to get into some sections of the river that I've never been able to get into with my boat. This time having a kayak with that weed-eating power machine all-day driving motor of mine, the Newport vessel NK180 on the back there, she was digging through And I was excited to get into this area, these areas, and fish them. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I went into this thing and I took 2 setups. I did not even bring a spin casting rod or reel with me on purpose. I refused to come out to the upper Mississippi in the middle of July and fish with an egg beater in my hand. I'm forced to do that in Colorado. I was so excited to bust out the big boy line, the braided fishing line, get out the 7.6, 7.4 medium heavy and heavy power flipping sticks. Dude, I was so stoked with this stuff. So we come out here with 2 things in mind. We was going Texas rig and hollow frogging. That's it. That was our approach. So we get here. Huge shout out and thanks to my good buddy, longtime friend, one of the best mechanics you are ever going to find, just one of the nicest and best human beings you will ever find on the planet, Mr. Jason Axley. He set me up at his house for the first couple days during practice, about an hour away from the river, hour and a half or whatever. But man, just saving us the budget monies, saving us the headaches and hassles, having a place to stay with good friends. What a huge help that was. So Mr. Axley, thank you, brother. We sincerely appreciate your hospitality. You have a beautiful home, awesome place out there. Cool farm cats. He's got a kayak fisherman himself. So we got a chance to get out for a couple days while I was practicing there and kind of poke around the river. That was super cool. And it was great to catch up with him. And man, just so happens to own Jason's Mobile RV Repair. So if you're in the southeastern Minnesota, southern Minnesota area, give him a call. You got any issues with your RVs or any of those issues along the way? He is a mobile RV repair center, and the guy stays pretty busy, but always looking to make new customers. So check him out there. Just Google up Jason's RV Repair in southern Minnesota, and you can't miss him. So we get down there after a good long haul road, and day 1 of practice. We had kind of a late start. Be honest, we were a little lazy getting out of there, which was okay because, like I said, I've been there before, kind of knew. Wasn't too worried about certain aspects of practice. I just wanted to look at some navigation routes, things of that nature, and get an idea. And it was a good thing I did, because the first thing we discovered when we launched is that the river had some mud in it. It was kind of stained. Well, for those of you familiar with the Mississippi River, when you get stained, muddy water, it really slows down that topwater bite, especially a hollow frog topwater bite when you're trying to throw that. You need a little bit of clear water with some of that hard cover there, or that healthy cover, just to kind of give a sense of security to them that they want to hunt. When that super muddy water kicks in, a lot of time the big greenies that hide back in those waters in the backwaters, a lot of times what I've seen is that it just it shuts them down a little bit. They have to really rely on that lateral line because they can't see anything. Give us a sight ambush predator there, and so that kind of affects them a little bit. So we knew this was going to be a trick, and we knew we were going to be up against the 8-ball there. So changed up a few colors. Discovered that the buzz bait was seeing a little bit more action, and made sense. They could pick it up. But what we discovered was that you needed to find, if you kept looking for them, you could find some clear water pockets. These clear water areas, some of the things that would determine how you could get these areas that had literally crystal clear water, would be areas that had a little bit of current, just a little bit flowing through, and a lot of good vegetation, strategically positioned, around. Those two combinations, and you could tell when you got into an area with a little bit of current, because the weeds would start to not have that brown silk all over them anymore. The weeds were green, and they were clear, so you knew you had just enough current coming through. Too much current wasn't great. Not enough current wasn't great. You had to find just the right amount to really, bring it all together. Well, we were able to find on our first launch, where we launched from, several good pockets of clean water. So we knew, hey, our topwater bite could come alive right there. We'll just have to see how that pans out. Day 2 launched from a different area further down Pool 9, and was excited with some of the stuff we were seeing, and I was looking for these clear water pockets. When I found them, I was able to, see we were stirring up some of the fish cutting through these areas. Then I found an area that I could paddle to. I couldn't run the motor through there for too long just because the cabbage was so thick in there that we pretty much ended up just paddling the unlimited back into that areas, because we found patches of clean water in there. The only downside to those patches of clean water is there really wasn't a ton of current at all. So we had clear water, but the weeds were still kind of silty and mucky. So it wasn't as prime as some of the other locations we had found. So that was day 2 of practice, but we discovered, pretty much what we wanted to discover at that point. Each day we were getting some weather blowing through, and so the river was continuing to stay muddy. It's my theory, because I've seen this up in Pool 8, that it was the Root River was our culprit for the mud in the Mississippi. I didn't get a chance to actually put really good eyes above, and you'd think I would, but I just couldn't see it just right when we were driving over it. I've seen this in the past. This is why I'm saying this. I've seen in the past where on Pool 8, the Root River comes in and connects. It's a big feeder system into the Mississippi River there at Pool 8. That thing, when it rains, it turns to chocolate milk, and it just pours like Nestle Quick right into the Mississippi. And what's really weird, obviously it's kind of cool to see, but if you look just north of the Root River, it's the normal Mississippi, slightly stained water look, but has, a little bit of visibility, where everything south of it is turning into like, 2-inch, 3-inch visibility, and that's it. Well, down in Pool 9 down there, I was wondering if the Iowa River was doing something similar, so I went up there and put eyes on it, and nope, it was muddy north of it, south of it, it didn't matter. So what I started thinking was, I wonder if the root is what's causing this, if the Root River, if that's what was doing it. But we were never able to get north of the Root River, get up into Pool 8. We never made that choice to run up there. Hindsight, maybe we should have. I don't know. I don't know where. I have to do some research here to find out where the guys that won this thing, where they were fishing mainly. And that'll help kind of piece some more bits of the puzzle together and kind of wrap it all up. But at any rate, day 1 of the tournament, we have to, because we decided, so for the night before the tournament, we left our buddy Jason's house and we went down and got our camp spot down at Black Hawk Campground. That's right on, it's a campground run by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Where do we want to hear? I'm trying to pay attention to my road signs. And we were set up to get set up at Black Hawk Campground, which is right on Pool 9, about mid-pool range, just north of DeSoto, Wisconsin. So we did that. We got set up there, got our camp set up, did a tent for the first night. It's been a while since I've been in a tent, y'all, and I gotta tell you, not good. Even with an air mattress and everything else, it just did not work out. I did not sleep for crap. 3:30 came real early because we were about 40 some odd minutes away from where our first launch was, because we had to go way down south to Lansing, cross the Lansing Bridge over into Iowa, and then run north back up out of Iowa up into Minnesota to get to that launch that we wanted to launch at. So we did that. I get up there. There were probably 12 guys at this very tiny little remote launch. There were like 12 trucks and kayaks and everybody launching there. And if you know me, you know that's just not my game, man. If I can avoid the big hairy mess, I'm going to avoid it. So I made an audible called an Omaha call right there on the spot and decided to move launches. So I left from there and went down and launched from what was going to be my day 2 spot. So went back down the Lansing Bridge and launched down there and fished some of the stuff we had down there. Make sure I'm hitting the right location here. Yes, we made the right turn. Just wanted to make sure we were heading in the right area. So yeah, so I went down there and launched from down there. And not a bad call, really, all in all. But I will say, we went out to fish just a couple little areas as we're moving. I had the trolling motor set up because I wasn't sure what we were going to see. We were on the frog bite. We were on the Texas rig, little throwing a missile baby D-bomb. And it wasn't long and we started hooking up. We had our 5 fish submitted to Tourney X, I think within the first hour and a half or so. I know we had a ton of fish in the boat first thing in the morning. We were getting them on top water, we were getting them on Texas rig, we were getting them on a Zoom horny toad or like a rage tail frog, pulling that across the top. We were hitting them there. We really couldn't miss in this one little pocketed area of some clean water. We just couldn't miss, couldn't go wrong. And dude, it was just lightning in a bottle. The problem was we were getting these 10-inch to 14-inch. We did connect with one 15-incher in there, but everything were these short little buggers that we were connecting up with. And I thought for sure, pulling on some old memory of the Mississippi, is that, it's a numbers game in some of these areas. When you come across a lot of them like this, just keep fishing and you're going to find some bigger ones in there, especially when you're talking about topwater hollow body frog fishing, because they're underneath those mats, hiding out in there. So we just kept at it, right? We just kept working, and what my thought was I'm not planning on coming back to this for day 2, so I don't want to leave anybody any gold sitting here. So we were just going to fish the living bejesus out of this given area. I did not want to burn it up, or I didn't want to leave any fish behind. I wanted to burn this place up, make it so that it was going to take a couple days for it to come back, healthy for other people to, be able to catch fish on it. So we were just going to sit on this thing. So we kind of did. I'd leave it for 20-30 minutes and go around this little point, fish this other little clean pocketed area. I punched some heavy cabbage over there. We hit almost a good 2.5 foot dogfish. That thing was a monster, getting him in the boat for the trash pot deal. Caught a solid 3-foot pike that I did not put in the boat. We went ahead and gave him a side kayak release. And just throughout the day, man, I'm not lying. We boated 35, 40 bass. Again, by the end of the day, the smallest thing we had was a 14-incher, but the biggest thing we had was a 15-incher. So we had a slew of those, but just nothing. There were tiny culls that we were making throughout the day. So by the end of day 1, we ended up want to say like 48 or so. The top 35 were going to make the cut for day 2. So I knew, hey man, day 2 we got to jump up some spots and see what we can get done. So day 2 game plan, went back to camp tired, beat, right, after not sleeping very well and spending all day in the rain, because it rained on us. My blackfish gear came in super handy for us. Day 2, or actually that night, I switched over to camping out of the back of my truck. The only hassle is I had to take the kayak out and a few things, so then I can put I have a truck tent that attaches to the tailgate. The topper extends it just a little bit, lets me get my air mattress in there so I can stretch out completely. So I got all that squared away there, and literally it's about 8 o'clock, and I was so beat, so tired after not sleeping but maybe an hour and a half max the night before. But I made the decision, and I'll admit, a lot of this decision came from the fact that I could actually squeeze out an extra hour of sleep to try to recoup from night 1, because I've learned my lesson. You know, it's the goofball that sits there, you know, wants to try to tough it out. No, you're creating a mental deficiency for yourself by trying to tough out exhaustion. So I knew I had to try to come up with something there to try to recoup this and save this on the fly, so I could make, you know, smart decisions when I was out there and just be fully aware and awake. There's a couple launches right from Black Hawk Campground. And I knew that, man, I could literally, it'll take me 5 minutes to take the truck over there, launch the kayak, and go. So I thought to myself, that could be awesome. So I did the little map study when I was eating some quick supper. I was looking at the map around the Black Hawk Campground and realized, hey, you know what? I'm probably going to find some of the stuff that I want to find, and I'll have a wider variety of different things we can fish there. But I'm going to have to give up on just trying to Texas rig and hollow frog it. I'm going to have to open up my game plan. So I put on the table, you know, smallies. I knew kind of, you know, working some of the wing dams and stuff, you could get on a nest of smallmouth. If you found a good hunting spot, that spot will reload throughout the day, so you can go back to it multiple times and hit fish off of it. And I thought, you know what, we got to be prepared for everything this time. And our game plan was, I'm going to head out, we're going to fish fast until we see signs of life, and then we're going to sit on it and we'll start working that, you know, and then we'll just keep rinsing and repeating all day long. So day 2 starts, slept like a log in the back of the pickup. That was phenomenal sleep. Probably a combination of just a lot better setup and just exhausted allowed me to. Oh, and one major thing I will tell you that I have learned as I get older: hydration, so amazingly important. It falls in line with nutrition, staying hydrated, man. I have gallon jugs. I have 2 different ones. One I take in the kayak with me, and one I keep, with me at the camp in the truck here. And I'm, just constantly refueling. Now, I will admit, also at the gas station, I stopped and got a Powerade so I could hit that up real quick and just get some nutrients back, because there was a lot of sweating and sitting, out in that sun all day, even when it was raining as well. There's a lot of loss of nutrients that takes place. And homie, I don't know what I got to do. In other words, maybe a full face, but I was just doing my Blackfish shirts and stuff have just the hoods that go over them, which creates a nice shade pocket, keeps my everything here open. But dude, the gnats, okay, I'm spraying off all over my hood, under my neck, doing the whole thing. No mosquito issues. Mosquitoes were not the problem. No, these are gnats. And bro, I'm not joking. I took so many gnats up the nose. I was having a cowboy hanky gnats out of my nose. That's a lovely visual, isn't it? But it's the truth. gnats getting underneath my sunglasses. One bit me in the eye. I started to swell up like a bonehead, throwing some ice on it throughout the day. Thankfully, took care of it. But yes, they just squirm your face, and they want to get in your mouth and up your eyeballs and everything else. I got to come up with something to keep those gnats off me next time, because that just about drove me up a freaking tree. A couple times I had to deal with that throughout the entire weekend. Anyway, back to the fishing. So the day 2 maneuver, we take off, we launch. And just as the game plan was, we start fishing fast. We go check some top water. I threw a spook a couple times on some current seams. Couldn't get anything to fire. Pitched to some wood early in the morning there. Couldn't get anything to go. Fished for about 30 minutes on the east side of the river. Nothing. I just was not very happy with the things I was seeing there for the time of day. So we jumped the channel. Went across the channel with the old New Canoe Unlimited. Powered up the EPS motor, got across there, and went into the Minnesota Slough and started fishing through those back channels. It wasn't long till we started connecting up with a few things back in there. I'd find some clean water pockets, got a little bit of a morning top water bite, and then went back out to the main channel, because again, I just wasn't finding quality. So I thought, you know what, maybe the bigger fish are holding out by the main channel. So we pushed out to the main channel and started working just the initial points and cuts and some of there. And lo and behold, we came across a very large spine of rock. Now I'm going to openly admit this. I had it marked on my GPS, but I had kind of forgotten about it, that I was right next to it. And I met another competitor in the series out there, and we were talking, and he's from Harmony there, and I was telling him about, how we lived in Rochester for 10 years. And we chat a little bit, wish each other good luck, and I start heading over, and he says, "Hey, I see you got a jig, tied up there. There's a rock spine right along that wall up there. I bet you could find some smallies there." And it dawned on me, I'm like, rock spine. And I looked down at my graphs, and sure as heck, I got the rocks marked from the old days in my boat. And that's one of the nice things about bringing my electronics over from there, is I have all my old scan spots, that I had picked up from long ago. And so, I thank dude. I'm like, "Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate the tip." I'm not kidding you guys. It was maybe third, fourth cast when I get over there. I see it on my side scan. I line up on it. Third, fourth cast. Doink. Throwing a little swim bait, actually, believe it or not. Just kind of jigging a swim bait. Well, the problem with that swim bait was I connect up with him, and it was literally after I had gotten dislodged from a rock, because the way the current was pushing down, it was so difficult to try to keep that out of the rocks, like getting buried into them. And so it was like every cast, it was 2 or 3 cranks on the reel, and bang, I was getting lodged in a rock somewhere. So it just wasn't efficient. So I changed up to a football jig, started dragging that, a small NACO football jig, because it was tungsten. I wanted that feel, that was kicking back to me on the tungsten side. And as I was pulling it through the rocks in there, doink, we hook up again. So we're starting to connect up. Well, I start flirting around with different baits, letting them see something different. And ultimately, at the end of the day, what I ended up doing the majority of my damage with, believe it or not, wasn't a stationary. It was a freaking thunder cricket. Strike King thunder cricket did some work that day, man. I didn't. the cheap arse in me here decided not to throw the jackhammer out there, just because of the rock and the high probable chance of break off that I was going to have. Because I was throwing this on fluorocarbon line in the river, in the rocks, and So I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to throw that jackhammer out there, because I only had one jackhammer left in a specific color that I wanted. So yeah, I was throwing the Thunder Cricket out there because I had a pile of those. And dude, they did the job for us. We up and down that spot, and I bet it was almost a quarter mile long. Almost a quarter mile long up the side of the bank of the river there. And very pronounced rock, hump that came up about 20, 25 feet offshore. And yeah, the smallies were hanging around, man. We caught smallies, we caught drum, we caught pike, we caught everything in that whole area there all day long, and we got healthy up there. Again, biggest fish though that I could put in the boat was like a 16 and a half, I think. 16, I think is what it was. And so by the time it was all said and done, we ended up with about a similar average to what we were catching the previous day, doing other different stuff. So by the time we're said and done on day 2, I thought we're for the longest time we were sitting like 31st throughout most of the day, and I was thinking, holy crap, here we go, we're going to actually make this cut. We put up catching bunches of fish, we just struggling again to find the quality size. But I thought, you know what, it might be good enough to make that cut. Last hour or so, a couple of guys that were real close to us in the standings got some key catches, hooked up, bumped us down, I want to say to like 43rd, 45th, somewhere in there, 48th maybe. Put us all the way back down there. So we didn't make the cut for day 3. But going into day 3 was going to be just big bass, right? That's all we were going to do. But before we get to that day 3, I want to say this. For the past year and a half, I have been working my butt off, but working harder, not smarter. And I was doing a couple key things a little bit wrong. Somehow I lost my way. Sometimes the more information you get about tournament fishing or about a certain topic, sometimes the more convoluted it can get, the more you get caught up in the details, right? Like too many weeds, out there, and you get kind of caught in them. I think that's what was happening with me. Because for the past year and a half, I would set up practice, I'd go into a tournament, and I'd kick my own ass every time. I would go and I'd blank, I'd get 1 fish, 2 fish. I was around fish because I was putting my co-anglers on them back in the boat days. They were doing well. Had co-anglers cashing checks left and right, so I knew I was getting around fish. It was just the execution piece. And when you narrow it down to yourself, that's a tough pill to swallow, right? It's like, I know my knowledge is good. I know where the fish are at. I'm obviously correct because I'm putting people on some good fish. But I just wasn't boating, and my co-angler was. And so after a while, like I said, that starts to wear on you. Take it over to the kayak where there ain't no co-angler, it's just you and you. And the same thing was happening. I was going out and just, stinking the place up. So no one was beating me except me. I was the one, just being dumb. Well, follow some advice, do some soul searching, hold the reins back on competition for a month during a time when I really shouldn't have, didn't feel like I could do that. But I knew I had to do something drastic to really refocus. Hats off again, Josh Deal. Josh gave me the advice of how to slow time down when you're out there during tournament day. And really focus in, keep your calm level head, which I have a pretty even keel about me. But at the same note, it's inevitable you start fishing faster than maybe you normally would. So Josh helped break down a few pieces about how long does it take to actually net or, get a fish in, net it, and get a picture of it, and get it submitted. That tells you what you're at. How long, will it take you to get 5? So just relax, slow time down, and just, go to work up there, and you're going to do fine, was his advice. And then, of course, Jody Queen gave me the sound advice that time on the water was everything. And what we realized is that my time on the water consisted of right around tournament time. That's when I was basically able to get out Before then, not a whole lot of time to actually get out and do a ton of fishing. And that's a problem when you're going against this caliber of hook that you're facing out there in the leagues that I'm fishing in. The Colorado Kayak Bassmasters, some of the best competitive anglers, you know, in the Colorado region, all fish in that series. And dude, it's for real. You got to come clean with these guys because they all have knowledge on these bodies of water where we don't. So I knew we were going to have to be strong there. And then of course the All-American, that is a national series that focuses kind of midwest of the U.S. And those anglers are no joke, man. I'll tell you that right now. They absolutely come to win this thing, and they're going to get on some big fish and get things handled. So you know, we knew we were going to have to be at the top of our game, so we pulled back, refocused, time on the water, slowing time down, went to Trinidad, didn't have a great practice, wasn't sure what we saw. Come tournament day, we were able to muster together. We found a spot just through grinding, just putting our head down and going out and grinding through till we found the key, but staying open-minded, staying calm in our approach, knowing that, hey, we got plenty of time. We were able to get healthy in one like 50-yard stretch ashore at Trinidad, and you know, came back with you know, just a rookie mistake kept me from basically sealing up 4th place. Instead, we took 7, so literally middle of the pack out of 14 anglers. But we did get big fish, so that worked out. This tournament here, we show up. I had an idea in practice that wasn't going to work out 100%, so we adjusted, stayed calm, started doing process of elimination on tournament morning, and bang, got on fish. Day 2, same. I bet you, we put down some serious miles on day 2 with that unlimited, man, running around the Minnesota Slough. And got healthy, found a couple spots that day, got healthy. You know, again, just couldn't find the big bite. That's really what had eluded us. But we were catching fish. My whole point to this is, I feel like we've exercised those demons. Now we just have to maintain it and keep it up. Like I always taught my boys that I coached in football and hockey. You know, there's so many challenges in achieving, you know, success. Getting up to a position where you feel comfortable being at. It is a very challenging, you know, effort to do so. But it's even more challenging staying there and maintaining there once you've achieved it. So, you know, that we know that we still have a lot of work ahead of us for the season, but we're in the busy part of our season, so we're going to stay very active that way. We don't really have a choice, you know, in the matter. We're just going to constantly be out there on the water. So, this is the point I'm getting at here is I didn't go out and kick my own butt. I got my butt kicked by my fellow competitors. I can live with that, okay? I know I'm fishing against damn good anglers out there. So getting my butt kicked by them, I'll eat that humble pie all day long. But at least I didn't stink it up. You know, that was the main thing. And we went for it, man. We were making home run swings on day 2. We don't go to these things just to participate in what we're doing out there. We're here to win it. I believe I can win it. Therefore, we're gonna try to breathe life into this. When we realize that, you know, what we're thinking is going to pay off it's not spinning us out. Like I said, we're finding plenty of fish, and we're getting on them, and we're catching them, we're boating them, so we're good. You know what I mean? We're good there. I can handle this kind of disappointment of finishing way down in the standings, just based on the fact that we just went up against some really good anglers. So that's cool there. Hey guys, we're going to take a quick second break, and then we'll be right back to finish up the rest of the full recap. Alright, and welcome back from the break here. So, full recap, LaCrosse, All-American Kayak Series. Just got done talking about, finishing up day 2 before we get into day 3. Feeling really good about the work we put in. My body will tell you we put in a ton of work. The old arthritis kicking in the hands, shoulders feeling it from all the casts we made. And I got to tell you, there was a couple things that I was thinking about that I wanted to mention on this, on the fishing side. Traditional wisdom tells you stained water go with a very dark color, like black, if you've got stained water, because it kicks off a contrast here. It creates a shadow. And it gives the fish something to key on. They'll catch that shadow and they'll attack it. Obviously, stained water, you want to make some noise in there, right? Let them use that lateral line of theirs, home in on the vibration, and hit it. So we were throwing the thunder cricket. It's a bladed jig for that purpose. When I was Texas rigging in that dark or that stained water, I was throwing black for the longest time. And then, of course, Mississippi River, dude, if you're not throwing black and blue at some point or another, I don't know, you're doing something wrong. But I'm going to be honest with you. I could not get consistent action on a black color or black and blue. Literally, the thunder cricket that scored for me was a more natural colored presentation. Green pumpkin, browns. I didn't think they were going to see it at all in that water on the main channel there. But I guess maybe I was thinking it was more stained than what the fish were thinking, because, dude, the green pumpkin and brown, color with the matching trailer was just, I couldn't miss with it. I was catching everything off of that on those on that rock spine, from smallies of varied sizes all the way to drum like crazy, a couple pike. It was insane. I started getting worried because the last pike I caught bit my thunder cricket off there, and I wasn't sure I had any more. I only had one left, so I got to order a couple of green pumpkin brown ones to get them back in stock. Hold on to them. But at any rate, that was just an odd thing. And when it came to Texas rigging, even in that dark, stained, muddy water, green pumpkin was the winner. It wasn't the darker. There's another mentality that says go with a super bright color that just stands out in that, like a bubble gum or a chartreuse and white or something. And in days past, I've had success doing that. Okay, but this weekend here, I did not see consistent. I made some catches with it, but nothing that was, I had far better response in that muddy water with just a natural green pumpkin color. And for what it's worth, most of all of my pitching and flipping that I was throwing on the Texas rig was coming from on day 2 was coming from braided line. Running that vicious no fade braid, 20 pound and 30 pound. I had those two. 30 I was running on my heavy action, 20 on my medium heavy. And you look at the diameter, dude, that's smaller diameter than like 15 pound floral half the time. So it checked out. That was just an odd deal. So anyway, we move on to day 3. Day 3, the cool thing about this event was, even though we didn't make the cut, they were allowing those of us that entered to still fish day 3 because they were doing an hourly big bass payout. Dude, I gotta tell you, this is not a common thing. This is super cool that the All-American was allowing this and letting us do this. The way it works was each hour, they were paying out $100 to the person that submitted the biggest fish for that given hour. $100 for that. So I thought, you know what? Yeah, we're going to fish this because it's a chance to recoup some gas money. So we went up there like old Dale Murphy from days of old, and we knew we were either going to strike out or we're going to hit a home run. That's what we thought. So we went to some backwater area there, and I went all in back to my original game plan of the hollow body frog. It's been my experience in the past that if you can get that hollow bodied frog bite to go, you catch some big green ones in those backwaters on the Mississippi. Mississippi. But I don't know, maybe it's a Pool 9 thing. Maybe, I don't know what the deal was. But I was not finding those big fish. But I will say this. Started off day 3. I went out, fished for about 30-45 minutes till I found the magic spot. I got in an area only about 30 yards wide, and it was a nest of green bass fishing from topwater. I had a blast. Short of taking gnats in the face and up the nose and in the mouth. Other than that, though, I'd lost track of the amount of fish that we caught from this given area blowing up on topwater. And this is where I give that shout out to the gear. Because, dude, I was pulling my kayak towards this stuff, and I knew I was not going in there with the kayak because I was going to blow out all this great cover. And I was still, about every 3 casts, I was getting struck at. You know, and if I play my cards just right, they would hit that frog. And, you know, I couldn't move it too quick. Too quick allowed me to at least see that something was there, but had to slow it down, twitch it a little bit, pause it a little bit to let them get a good bead on it so they could get up and hit it right away. I think it's harder for them to see in that real thick, you know, mossy, not duckweed. I mean, duckweed, you can book stuff across duckweed and they'll narrow in on it. This was that thick, you know, hairy stuff that was up there that they had to get through, but they were. And we hit a ton of fish. First fish submission for the first hour there was a 16.5. Not huge, but it was the biggest that we had caught in that. And then it just steadily went down. The next biggest fish I caught throughout the day was like 15. And again, I lost track of the number of fish that we caught though. And there was just a ton of them, man. So had an absolute blast. I went and fished a bunch of other areas around there, just speeding through, looking for signs of life. When I'd find it, I'd stop and fish it. Same thing, found about 2 more spots in there to get healthy. I probably caught more fish on day 3 than I did on day 1. Now day 2 was a fantastic deal, but yeah. So we took a swing for it. We went ahead and cut out right in the afternoon there, so that we could get camp all broke down, loaded up. And our game plan was to stop by in a little town on the way out of Minnesota where my mother and sister live, so I could get a chance to see them. We haven't seen them about a year, so I wanted to stop in and say hey. So that was the breakdown on the tourney, man. The new Canoe Unlimited is just a thing of beauty. There's a lot of good kayaks to fish out of, okay? I get it. But bang for buck, and for a fishing, sit on top fishing kayak that you want to customize, you want it to be able to handle big water, skinny water, you want to be able to get your gear on there, fish from it comfortably all day long. You're talking to a guy with some chronic low back issues most of my entire life, and dude, the new Canoe Fusion 360 seat that swivels and rotates, that is just, it's like sitting in your easy, you know, lazy boy recliner. So comfortable all day long, no cushions or anything needed, just the chair itself. Phenomenal. Gear where I need it, when I need it, able to get a hold of it, even during the rain. I don't open up any scupper holes. I want the flotation factor, and so I just have like a little hand pump bilge. Only had to do that one time on the full days of rain. This thing, she does a phenomenal job, and again, I mean, it's wide, it's a big kayak, so it's not as mobile as some of the others, but it's not so wide that you absolutely have to have a trailer. I'm not saying I wouldn't mind giving my back and shoulders, you know, a break, but it's not a necessity. I still put mine in the back of the pickup with a bed extender on it, and that's how we roll down the road. I like the mobility factor there. I just need to get in better shape. and figure out a few loading techniques to really get this right. So, anywho, man, what an awesome weekend. Closed out the weekend with getting a chance to see my extended family, my mother, my sister, my niece, nephew, see those guys and chat with them. They came down. We had a nice home cooked meal. That was really nice. My mom went out of her way to do that, which was super sweet, super awesome. So big shout out to them. Much love. Their new house they live in, and like I said, this little town out in Minnesota there. And yeah, man, we're driving home now. Like I said, we feel good about the work. We worked our butt off. We found fish. We got on them. We're building confidence now every day that we've exercised these demons. Not gonna lie, dude, that stuff gets in your head, man. And it doesn't matter how long you do this. When it gets in your head and you start second guessing yourself, that is the recipe for destruction in this sport. And it takes something that you love and makes it a very frustrating venture. And you feel betrayed, right? I mean, like a best friend betrayed you. It's not supposed to feel like that, so it doesn't anymore. We're sore, we're wore out, but we're grinning, from ear to ear. And now we're heading home to see my wife, see my son, see our friends, and for at least a couple days. Then we go back on the road. On Thursday, we're back on the road to Swanson Lake, Nebraska, to fish against the Colorado Kayak Bassmasters group, which is another group full of some seriously good hooks, but also seriously good people. So we're very fortunate and glad to be fishing with that group. So that should be cool. And a little excited about what I'm hearing about this Swanson Lake. It doesn't fish like a Highland Res. It fishes more weedy, more in our wheelhouse of what we're used to. Be watching here. We're going to put a couple videos up that'll show you the swamps we were back in the backwaters. And that's, to be honest with you, that's where we're right at home, man. I would prefer to fish that way all day long, save, of course, eating and snorting gnats. That's not so fun. My nephew tells me something about vanilla, so maybe I get some vanilla extract and dab a little on my face here and wear some vanilla perfume. And apparently that's supposed to keep them away from the gnats. That is, we'll do some research there. Otherwise, we're just gonna maybe fish with a mosquito net on our head. That would be pretty awesome, wouldn't it? Listen, guys, I hope the recap, is it's a lot of talking and so forth, a lot of detail. But for those of you out there that are interested in getting in, or you guys that are competing with out there, this is I'm an open book. I'm not holding anything back when it comes to this. The baits I use, where I go, how we're having success, how we're not having success. We're trying to remain as transparent as possible for the purpose of education and for us all learning. The moment you think you've got it all figured out in this sport, you might as well get out, because you're about to get your butt kicked when you realize you don't. And confidence is key, but arrogance is a detriment to you in a major way. So there are no absolutes. Every time you think this is the way it is, that is the way you got to do, Mother Nature will go, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to do something totally opposite of that today. And it just reminds you that this is an art form, not a science. And so you got to be able to adjust and willing to remain open-minded and progressive in your thoughts to really do well. So we're gonna stick with it. We're gonna keep going and following and learning. And if you guys are finding this information helpful, please let me know. Leave a little comment behind here. Give us a like. Make sure to absolutely give us a subscribe on the channel. We could use that. Constant help in getting more subscriptions. Any questions, any comments, leave them here. Hit me on a DM, whatever you want to do. Reach out to me. I'd love to chat with you about there. If you're in the Colorado area, you want to go fishing sometime, hit me up, dude. Let's do it. As long as I'm in the neck of the woods, I'm always looking to go out fishing. Of course, on the RWF Warrior Field Ops, if you know a vet, if you are a vet, if you know a first responder, former first responder, if you are one of those, let's go fishing on our dime. We'll take you out. We've got some kayaks here. We'll get them together and we'll get out on the water in Colorado here, and maybe you can teach me some about Colorado fishing, and vice versa. We'll get out there and we'll go have a blast. As I always tell people, one of two things is guaranteed when you go out with me. I can't guarantee you fish, but I will guarantee that you're going to laugh with me or at me, one of the two, and we're going to have a good time. So, as always, folks, thank you so very much for your love and support. We couldn't do any of this stuff without you guys. And tight lines. Be safe.